Have you ever wondered what could be the most terrifying experience at 30,000 feet above the ground? It's a chilling thought, isn't it? Picture this. A seemingly ordinary flight, a crew of seasoned professionals, and a plane full of unsuspecting passengers. But as we all know, appearances can be deceiving. What if the flight wasn't as ordinary as it seemed? What if the skies held secrets darker than the night itself? Fasten your seatbelts, as we are about to dive into an unsettling tale of horror in the skies. It all starts on an ordinary day, with passengers boarding a routine flight. A diverse mix of individuals, each with their unique stories to tell. Business executives, families on vacation, solo travelers, all eager to reach their destinations. The flight crew, a team of experienced professionals, warmly welcomes each passenger, their smiles a comforting assurance of safety. The cabin buzzes with casual conversations and the rustle of settling into seats. It's a familiar scene, one we've all experienced in our travels. The aircraft, a magnificent beast of steel and technology, stands ready, its engines humming softly. The crew's calm and collected demeanor suggests another day in paradise. The initial mood of the flight is light, filled with anticipation and the promise of a smooth journey. But beneath this veneer of normalcy, a chilling undercurrent lurks. Unknown to everyone on board, the threads of their ordinary lives are about to unravel. Little did they know, their routine flight was about to turn into a nightmare. As the plane reaches cruising altitude, something begins to go terribly wrong. The atmosphere, previously filled with the hum of idle chatter, the shuffle of newspapers and the gentle whir of the engines, suddenly shifts. An unsettling silence blankets the cabin, broken only by the sporadic coughing of the engines, a sound that's all too foreign to the ears of the passengers. The plane lurches. It's a subtle shift, barely noticeable but enough to cause a ripple of unease throughout the cabin. A baby starts to cry in the far back, its wails echoing through the narrow aisle, amplifying the growing tension. An overhead bin swings open, letting loose a suitcase that thuds ominously onto an empty seat. The passengers exchange worried glances, their eyes wide with confusion and fear. A flight attendant tries to reassure them with a forced smile, but her trembling hands betray her calm facade. The captain's voice, usually so steady and reassuring, crackles over the intercom. He speaks of unexpected turbulence, advising everyone to remain seated with their seatbelts fastened. His words, meant to provide comfort, only serve to heighten the sense of dread that's slowly seeping into the hearts of each passenger. In the galley, the flight attendants exchange worried glances. Their practiced routine is disrupted by the unexpected. They've been trained for emergencies, yes, but something about this doesn't feel right. The plane shudders again, stronger this time, causing the cabin lights to flicker ominously. The whispers grow louder, the confusion turning into panic. The once routine flight has turned into a journey of uncertainty. Every creak of the plane, every flicker of the lights, amplifies the terror that's slowly taking hold. And yet, amidst the growing chaos, there's still a semblance of order, a thin veneer of normalcy that's desperately trying to hold the mounting fear at bay. But the true horror is yet to reveal itself. As the situation escalates, panic takes over the aircraft. With every passing second, the terror in the sky intensifies. The cabin, once filled with the murmur of conversation and the rustle of snack wrappers, now echoes with the cacophony of fear. The low hum of the engines is drowned out by the pounding hearts of the passengers. A palpable cloud of dread hangs heavy, turning the air into a thick soup of anxiety. In the dimmed cabin lights, shadows dance ominously, writhing in sync with the growing horror. The only semblance of calm is the steady blink of the seatbelt sign, a cruel mockery of the chaos unfolding within. The flight crew, trained for emergencies but not for nightmares, scramble to regain control. They move through the cabin, their faces masked with forced calm, their hands shaking slightly as they try to soothe the terrified passengers. But their words, meant to reassure, only seem to amplify the fear. The unknown, it appears, is far more terrifying than any turbulence or technical glitch. In the cockpit, the pilots grapple with the unseen terror. Their fingers dance over the control panel, their eyes darting between the radar screen and the endless expanse of night outside. Their voices, usually steady and calm, crackle with tension over the intercom. Despite their best efforts, the aircraft remains a prisoner of the sky, its fate hanging in the balance. Passengers clutch their armrests, their knuckles white with fear. Prayers are whispered into the chill of the cabin air, each one a desperate plea for salvation. Parents hold their children close, their comforting lies swallowed by the roar of the engines. The terror is contagious, spreading like wildfire through the seats, turning even the bravest souls into trembling wrecks. In the face of an unseen terror, they were all helpless. As the terrifying flight reaches its climax, the passengers face their final moments. The atmosphere aboard the doomed aircraft is thick with panic and fear. Each heartbeat, each gasp for breath, echoes the impending doom. The once comfortable cabin is now a chilling chamber of horrors. The crew, trained to handle emergencies, find themselves in a situation far beyond their worst nightmares. Their faces, usually calm and composed, are now etched with terror. The pilot, a seasoned aviator, wrestles with the controls, attempting to regain command of the aircraft. His voice crackling over the intercom is a stark contrast to the usual reassuring tone. Efforts to calm the passengers are futile. His words, meant to inspire hope, are swallowed by the roar of the engines and the deafening silence of despair. Back in the cabin, the flight attendants are doing their best to maintain order. Their professional veneer is punctured by the situation, revealing raw fear underneath. They move through the cabin, their steps hurried, their voices trembling, trying to comfort the terrified passengers. Their smiles, usually warm and welcoming, are now tight and strained. The passengers, once strangers, are now united by a common fate. Some pray silently, their lips moving in desperate pleas to the heavens. Others hold hands, seeking comfort in the touch of another human being. A few stare blankly into the distance, their minds unable to comprehend the situation. The children, too young to understand the gravity of the situation, look around in confusion. Their innocent eyes, unclouded by the horrors unfolding around them, seek reassurance from the adults. The elder ones, their faces lined with age and wisdom, wear resigned expressions. They've lived their lives, seen their share of joy and sorrow, and now they brace themselves for the end. As the aircraft lurches once more, a collective gasp fills the cabin. The deafening roar of the engines is now replaced by an eerie silence. The final moments are upon them. Each second stretches into eternity, the world outside the windows blurring into a whirl of colors. Their final moments were filled with unimaginable terror. The aftermath of the flight is as haunting as the flight itself. As the dawn broke, the eerie silence was punctuated only by the crackle of the emergency services radios. The first responders arrived at the scene. Their faces, etched with disbelief and horror, mirrored the gravity of the situation. The investigation that followed was painstaking. Pieces of the aircraft, scattered across the landscape, were meticulously collected and examined. Investigators toiled day and night, sifting through the wreckage, searching for clues that could explain the inexplicable. The black box, usually a beacon of truth in these circumstances, was recovered, but offered no solace. It only amplified the mystery, the last recorded sounds being a chilling silence that sent shivers down the spine of even the most seasoned investigators. Theories abounded, from the rationale to the downright absurd. Some suggested mechanical failure, others pointed to pilot error. Still others whispered of supernatural forces, of a ghostly presence that had taken control of the flight. But despite the speculation, despite the countless hours of investigation, no definitive conclusion was ever reached. The families of those on board were left with nothing but questions. Questions that would, in all likelihood, remain unanswered. Questions that would haunt their dreams, turning their nights into a mirror of that ill-fated flight. And so, the flight remains a chilling mystery to this day, a grim reminder that sometimes the skies hold secrets that are far too terrifying to uncover. The horrifying experience of the passengers and crew remains one of the most chilling aviation horror stories. This tale of terror in the skies, where unseen forces drove a routine flight into the realm of nightmares, never fails to send shivers down the spine. The boarding of this ill-fated airplane, the panic that ensued mid-air, and the haunting final moments, all combine to create a story that lingers, long after the last echoes of the black box recordings have faded. The aftermath, a chilling testament to the ordeal, leaves us with more questions than answers. What caused the unseen terror? How could a typical flight turn into such a horrifying nightmare? These unanswered questions continue to hang in the air, as tangible as the fear that gripped those unfortunate souls on that fateful day. As we disembark from this chilling tale, remember, the skies hold mysteries beyond our understanding.